All right, how's everybody doing today? Hotep, this is Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. It is Sunday, July 27th, 2025, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well today. It's been probably since May since we broadcasted live for the African History Network show on Sunday nights. Well, look, we have a jam-packed show for you today. We know that by now everybody has heard the sad news that Malcolm-Jamal Warner, who portrayed Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, he died tragically on Sunday, July 20th, 2025 in Costa Rica. He was swimming in Costa Rica. So we're going to talk about that. We posted about that on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network, and our social media platforms. He was only 54 years old. So we're going to discuss that a little bit and remember Malcolm-Jamal Warner. And, he and I were both the same age. I just turned 54 on June 7th. 2025, and this was totally unexpected. So there has been an outpouring of condolences, an outpouring of sympathy all across the country. Now, also this past week, Donald Trump, in trying to distract from the Jeffrey Epstein files not being released, even though he ran on releasing the Jeffrey Epstein files, and we know that his FBI director Cass Patel and Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino were demanding the Epstein files be released before before Trump was reelected. Well, Donald Trump now is calling for the prosecution of former President Barack Obama, Beyonce, former Vice President Kamala Harris, Oprah Winfrey, and Reverend Al Sharpton. This is more nonsense and more of an attempt to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is not calling for the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Now, at the same time this past week, Donald Trump released 240,000 pages of the Martin Luther King files. Now, remember, he signed an executive order back in January that called for the releasing of certain files like the JFK files, MLK files, things of this nature. But the timing of the release of these files is extremely suspect at the time when you have a heightened and a continuing fracturing of his MAGA base, Make America Great Again base. You have many in his MAGA base calling for the releasing of the files and thinking that there's some type of cover up. Also, we found out from the Wall Street Journal this past week that Attorney General Pam Bondi back in May of 2025 told Donald Trump that his name appears in the Jeffrey Epstein files. And from our understanding, it appears numerous times. Now, just because it appears in the files does not mean it is nefarious. But if you're dealing with a pedophile, it's probably not good for your name to be referenced numerous times in those files. And we know that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein were friends for 15 years and they partied together as well. So we're going to talk about that also. Now, Demario Solomon Simmons, attorney Demario Solomon Simmons, who is Muscogee Creek Indian, he won a major legal victory this past week, and he was on Roland Martin Unfiltered to talk about this. The Muscogee Nation court rules descendants of enslaved Black people are entitled to citizenship because of the Black Freedmen Indian Treaties of 1866. The Black Freedmen Indian Treaties of 1866. Now, you've heard me talk about this numerous times. You've heard Dr. Claude Anderson talk about this. I've dealt with this on my show numerous times. I've dealt with this in my lectures, etc. And I've been on Roland Martin Unfiltered a few times with Demario as well. Well, we're going to give you some information about that. The Associated Press has an article about this, ABC News, a lot of news outlets covered this. And this, as I have said before, this is one of the main ways for us to get some type of reparative justice based upon existing treaties going back to 1866, the year after slavery ended. There's a history of African Americans getting some type of benefits from these Indian treaties from the Choctaw, Chickasaw Creek, Cherokee, and Seminole Indians. Okay. All right. So hope everybody's doing well today. Give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, give us a like on this broadcast. And also we're going to deal with this story. You know, I've been so busy. And I've been doing presentations, and I do a Roland Martin show every Friday, and I have been doing some shorter pre-recorded videos since May, and you all have seen some of those. But here we are live again, so you can post your comments here, give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, give us a like on this broadcast. We may share your comments here during the broadcast. But Nicole Hannah-Jones, who spearheaded the 1619 Project for the New York Times. Nicole Hannah-Jones did a essay for the New York Times called "How Trump Upended 60 Years of Civil Rights in 2 Months." How Trump upended 60 years of civil rights in 2 months. So basically ended or greatly weakened. Okay. Now this was from June 27th, 2025. And she was on MSNBC. She was interviewed by attorney Charles Coleman Jr. And I'm going to share that interview with you. And this is what we were warning people about prior to the November 5th, 2024 election, and dealing with Project 2025, and how dangerous and how harmful Donald Trump would be and his policies would be to African Americans. Okay. So we'll talk about that. And Donald Trump releases the MLK files in an attempt to distract from the Jeffrey Epstein files. And Reverend Bernice King, one of Dr. King and Coretta Scott King's daughters, Reverend Bernice King said, now release the Epstein files. Now release the Epstein files. Okay, so we're going to break this all down for you. And I have a new online history class starting up Saturday, August 2nd, 2025. African empires, the Moors, and the transatlantic slave trade, 5000 BC to 1800 AD. You can register for it right now at my website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And it is at the top of the page, and it is right here. Let's go to this here. Okay, you scroll down, and August 2nd, 2025, 4 p.m. You click right here to register here for it. It's on sale, $80. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You could go back and watch it anytime. African empires, the Moors, and the transatlantic slave trade, 5000 BC to 1800 AD. You can register for it. Click right there to register for it right here. And you also get 5 of my lectures in digital download format as well when you register. Okay, so let's jump into this. And on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's correct your own behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you have been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. All right, so let's jump into this first story here. Tragically, unfortunately, Malcolm-Jamal Warner, who played Theo Huxtable on the Cosby Show, he died tragically on Sunday, July 20th, 2025 in Costa Rica. We posted articles about this. And also, I'm going to share an excerpt of an interview that Lindsay Davis from ABC News did with Bill Cosby remembering his TV son. The actor died while on a family trip in Costa Rica on Sunday, July 20th, after he was caught in a current. And this article has been updated on July 22nd. Okay, so new details are emerging in the shocking death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner. The Cosby Show actor drowned while swimming on a family trip in Costa Rica on Sunday, July 20th. He was 54 years old. Now, Malcolm-Jamal Warner was swept away by a current and rescued by bystanders and taken to shore, according to a statement from the Judicial Investigation Agency, OIJ. He was declared lifeless on the shore, and his cause of death was determined to be a result of asphyxiation by submersion. Asphyxiation by submersion. Now, authorities are now shedding more light on the circumstances that contributed to Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death. On Monday, July 21st, the Caribbean Guard shared a Facebook post regarding the drowning, writing that they deeply regret the passing of Malcolm-Jamal Warner in Playa Grande. The post affirmed that Warner was swept away by a strong hangover current and died by drowning, end quote, and added that it all happened very fast. And from reports, they performed CPR for 45 minutes on him. Even though there were people on the beach who came in to rescue him, they didn't arrive in time. The post continued. He was pulled underwater with no vital signs, and despite having been provided with CPR maneuvers on the beach, his resuscitation was unsuccessful, end quote. Now, the beach is one of the areas most challenging, and the agency noted that there are signs in English and Spanish that warn of the danger of death by drowning throughout the beach. Okay, and let me switch over to this here. Okay, so, and now you all can post your comments here as well. And let me get the chat up here. Okay. All right, let's continue. So there were no patrols on the beach on Sunday, the day he drowned. Per the Caribbean Guard's post, the beach is usually patrolled, but this Sunday was an exception. They had allocated resources elsewhere as a result of other recent water incidents at two nearby beaches that also have dangerous currents. Now, the agency took the opportunity in the post to appeal to the government for more help. We do everything within our power. We've saved numerous lives in recent years. We've saved numerous lives in recent years. And if Caribbean Guard didn't exist, drownings would count by the dozens. We do our part to minimize risks, but if we don't have government help, clear public policies, and strong support for local entrepreneurs, this will keep happening. And let me switch over to this view here. Okay, so that's better. You all can see this, and hopefully you all can still hear me as well. And we could zoom in on this for you here. All right. Okay, we do everything within our power. We saved numerous lives in recent years. And if Caribbean Guard didn't exist, drownings would count by the dozens. Now, a second man was also caught in the same current as Malcolm-Jamal Warner, and is in critical condition. Okay, according to the Costa Rican Red Cross, ambulances, quote unquote, attended to two adult male patients, I should say, on Sunday following a report of a water-related incident. Okay, so this is a very sad, tragic set of events. This is something that caught everybody off guard. We know there were a number of deaths this past week. Ozzy Osbourne, heavy metal artist Ozzy Osbourne passed away. We know Hulk Hogan, MAGA Trump supporter Hulk Hogan, passed away as well. Connie Francis, Chuck Mangione. There were a number of people, number of entertainers who passed away this week. Now, Bill Cosby was interviewed by Lindsay Davis for ABC News, and I'm going to go to that clip here. This is on their YouTube channel. Also, they had ABC News has a good article about the interview, and let's cue that up for you. And just a second here. Okay, let's go to this here. Let's flip over. Just give me a second here. All right.
Davis spoke with Cosby earlier today about the death of his co-star. Cosby says he and Malcolm stayed close up until the end.
Most of us never had the opportunity to meet him as you did. We remember, you know, that scene where you said, "I brought you into this world, I can take you out." Knowing him, how will you remember him?
Like innocent, truthful, and he knew when to just walk away from a conversation without being rude. Malcolm did his best. He was always a great studier, and I enjoyed working with him very much.
You all have not spoken for a while, right?
No, that's not true. Malcolm calls here regularly.
Okay.
And my reputation with him is he doesn't need to talk. He needs to listen.
Okay.
Well, that's not true at all, but I just have information to give to him in the belief that my Cosby grandfather gave information, and I always thought that that's the kind of grandfather I would be. He was very professional, 54 years old, and always studied, always knew his part. He would have been one of Spencer Tracy's favorite actors. He never bumped into the furniture. He always knew his lines, and he always knew where to go.
And our thanks to Lindsay for that conversation.
All right. So that was from ABC News, and Lindsay Davis spoke with Bill Cosby. If we go here to this, let me pull up this article here from ABC News on the topic. I also saw on social media that Frankie Darcell, who used to be on Mix 92.3, Frankie's in another market. So Frankie Darcell interviewed Bill Cosby also. I knew Frankie Darcell when she used to be at Mix 92.3 for decades. Bill Cosby speaks to ABC News about late co-star Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Cosby said he and Warner stayed close after the Cosby Show days. Okay, So here are the two of them together as well. So this is a tragic loss. We know the co-stars of the Cosby Show. We know they also put out statements and sent their condolences as well. Now, after the Cosby Show, there was a short-lived show that Malcolm-Jamal Warner did on NBC with the kids, and I posted a clip of it on social media on my Facebook fan page, the African History Network, and it was an episode with Omar Epps as well. And I remember them doing. I remember there was a short-lived show after the Cosby Show. So if you remember the last season of the Cosby Show, he was working with a youth group, right? He was studying psychology and working with the youth group. Well, when the Cosby Show ended in 1992, he got his own show, and he's working with the kids also. So there was and I wish they would show that again. I don't know if it's in reruns anywhere, because I think maybe it probably only lasted one season, if that. If it were today, because of social media, it probably would be a lot more successful. Okay. But there was, and I'm going to pull up the name of this here. Just a minute. Give me a minute here. There was let's see here. And we all remember Malcolm-Jamal Warner also on the TV show Malcolm and Eddie with Eddie Griffin, comedian Eddie Griffin, but also with Melina White, I think it is, who played Charmaine on the Cosby Show, and then on A Different World. She was on the show Malcolm and Eddie as well. Okay, so it is, what's the name of that? Okay, there were two clips of it. One of it had the name of it in the caption, and the other one did not. Let me try to find that. It was a scene with Omar Epps. So, why don't y'all put the... Okay. When y'all put these clips out, put the name of the show in these damn clips, so it's easy for us to reference. Because then that gives you more exposure, because we're going to cite where we found the clip. Man, these are amateurs that put this stuff out. Like this clip right here, right? It just says Malcolm-Jamal Warner, Omar Epps. Put the name of the damn show up there. Okay, I'll find it. Okay, well, we'll continue. I'll find it. The one clip that I had that showed it, it looks like that may have been taken down. Here and Now. That's the name of it. Here and Now. All these clips, and they don't even show the name of the damn show. Here and Now. So it was a sitcom. Daryl Chill Mitchell. It was a sitcom that aired after the Cosby Show ended. So check that out on Google that. Here and Now, Malcolm-Jamal Warner, Omar Epps. Okay, now let's continue here. There was some of his former castmates from the Cosby Show also sent their condolences, gave remarks. TheGrill.com has a article on this. Bill Cosby and other Cosby Show stars react to Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death. Let's take a look at this here from TheGrill.com. Now, I hope the Grill's notorious for having all these ads popping up. Let's check this out here from The Grill. All right, you can post your comments here also. Why isn't it? Hold on, I gotta get the chat up. I see some comments here, but it is okay. Let's look at this here. Okay, Bill Cosby and other Cosby Show co-stars react to Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death. React to Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death. So this is from July 22nd, 2025. We see the cast members all grown up here. You even have Raven Simone there. No Lisa Bonet, but you know, that's a whole nother story. Let's see, scroll down. So Bill Cosby representative Andrew Wyatt told People magazine that the news of Warner's passing reminded Bill Cosby of the same call he received when his son Ennis died. Ennis Cosby, Cosby's only son, Ennis William Cosby, was murdered in 1997. He was 27 years old. Recalling how Ennis and Malcolm-Jamal Warner used to play together, Andrew Wyatt describes Warner's tragic passing as devastating. Warner, who played Cosby's only son on the show, on the Cosby Show, reportedly kept in contact with Cosby through the years. In a conversation with CBS News, Jericka Duncan, Cosby revealed that the last time he had spoken to the late actor was 3 months before his death, where they discussed a concert. All right, and we have Rancy and Lala and Chago Wilson watching us on YouTube. Other people are watching us on YouTube also, but they haven't commented yet. So post your comments here. We'll try to give you a shout out also. Ivanza said, rest in peace, Malcolm. And let's see if we can get that on the screen here. All right. They've I hate it when Restream makes these changes to the features, because when I click on chat, it used to show up here on the side, and it doesn't show up anymore. Let me see. Hold on just a second. Let me see. Guest show. Let me see if it's a change that I can make in the change in the settings. I hate it when they make these changes like this, but let's continue. He was very proud of what he had to do, Cosby said, reflecting on his last conversation with Malcolm-Jamal Warner. We asked what he wanted people to remember about the actor. Cosby stressed his work ethic. Quote, he was never afraid to go to his room and study. He knew his lines, and he was quite comfortable even with the growing pains of being a teenager, Bill Cosby noted. All right, so check this out as well. Now, fellow Cosby co-star Jeffrey Owens, who played Elvin, who married Sandra, Elvin Thibodeau, he expressed the star's death left him, quote unquote, speechless. Jeffrey Owens said, Malcolm was a lovely man, a sweet and sensitive soul. I respected him for many reasons, including the fact that he genuinely loved the act of creation. He had the mind of an actor and the heart of a musician. He was generous too. I did a theater project long ago and asked him to participate, and he was there for me. My heart goes out to his family. He continued in a statement per Deadline. We all remember Raven-Symoné, who played Olivia, Denise's adopted daughter. Denise's stepdaughter, not adopted daughter, stepdaughter, who appeared in the last 3 seasons of the hit sitcom. At age 3, she shared an emotional statement on Instagram. She said, words cannot describe the pain, sadness, and surprise that I feel with the recent loss of MJW. He was a big brother. He was a beacon. He was one of the most multifaceted, talented men, so gentle. He gave the best advice. He gave the best hugs. And his smile will always be a huge, bright, white smile in my head forever. I love you, and I know you're watching over all of us now. Okay. So the actress said in the video statement, extending hugs and kisses to Warner's daughter, wife, and mother. We know he kept his daughter and wife out of the spotlight. Most people don't even know their names. So he kept them out of the spotlight. So our condolences to his family and his mother also. All right, so this is a big loss. And, you know, just over the week, I was reflecting on his other work outside of the Cosby Show. So he directed a video for New Edition. And I forgot that he was in that video. I was watching that video a few days ago, and somebody posted that. And then, you know, he was on other TV shows, whether it was Malcolm and Eddie or other ones. He was in a few movies also, but he continued to work. If you remember, I remember Friday night videos. How many of you all are old enough to remember Friday night videos? They came on NBC Friday night, 11:30 p.m. Any Heartbreak. Yeah, that was Any Heartbreak by N.E. Heartbreak by New Edition. Malcolm-Jamal Warner directed that video, 1988. So the Friday night videos, okay, that was a show that came on Fridays on NBC, 11:30 p.m. And they showed all the new videos, all the new music videos they showed on Friday night videos. He came on 11:30 p.m. until 1 a.m. Saturday morning. Now, each week they had a different host, and it was one of the stars or co-stars of an NBC TV show. Okay. One week they had Malcolm-Jamal Warner and Tempest Bledsoe, who played Vanessa Huxtable. They co-hosted the show. Okay. And then also one week you had Felicia Rashad, who played Claire Huxtable. She co-hosted with her real life sister, Debbie Allen. All right. So that was good also. All right. Let me see how we do that. Okay. All right. So rest in peace, Malcolm-Jamal Warner. And you can post your comments here as well. And check out the articles that we have on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network, dealing with Malcolm-Jamal Warner also. All right. So let's go to the next topic because we have a lot to cover. It's been a while. I haven't broadcasted live on Sunday night since May. Okay, so it's a lot to cover. You know, I do Roland Martin Unfiltered almost basically every Friday, pretty much once a week. Roland Martin Unfiltered. I've been on this show. It'll be 5 years in October of 2025. Time goes by quickly. Okay. Time goes by quickly. I've made over 200 appearances on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Now, also Tracy Ellis Ross. I posted this on our Facebook page. Tracy Ellis Ross, who played his wife on the TV show Read Between the Lines. How many people remember that show? I think that aired on BET, Read Between the Lines. She sent her condolences also. Remember Tracy Ellis Ross from Blackish, but before Blackish, she was Joan Clayton on Girlfriends. All right. Now, those that know me, you know I'm a TV show buff. I studied the history of TV shows, especially African American TV shows. Okay, and as well as movies as well. All this is connected. The TV shows and movies reflect the times, reflect history, reflect what's going on at that time. But this was from E! News, and you have Tracy Ellis Ross is mourning the tragic loss of her dear friend Malcolm-Jamal Warner. More in the comments below. And that was a pretty good show, Read Between the Lines. You know, with African-American TV shows, we don't get all of the chances to make mistakes and things like that a lot of other shows get, okay? So if social media was as prominent now as it was back then, that show probably would have been more successful. I think it stayed on for about 3 seasons. I love you, Malcolm. First, I met you as Theo with the rest of the world. Then you were my first TV husband. My heart is so sad. My heart is so sad. Tracy Ellis Ross. Okay, so check that out. Also from eonline.com. And for most of us, we didn't know him personally, but he was like our brother. He was like our little brother or our big brother or something like that. And a lot of us grew up watching the Cosby Show starting in 1984. And a lot of us grew up with Malcolm-Jamal Warner. Like I said, he and I were the same age. I'm 54. So a lot of us grew up with him and went through growing pains, went through, maturing, all of that together. All right, let's go to the next story. And I'm trying to get some of your comments here. Let's see here. All right, next story. I want to go to this Muscogee Creek story. This deals with the Muscogee Creek Indians. Now, I've talked about this numerous times here on the African History Network show. And a lot of people talk about reparations, but this is going to be one of the most significant advances in actually getting some benefits for African Americans. And this needs to be applied to those who are descendants of all five or have connections to all five civilized tribes of Native Americans, what are called the five civilized tribes of Native Americans: Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, Cherokee, and Seminole Indians. Before we go to that story, if you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App, $ the AHN show through Cash App, and then also through PayPal, paypal.me /the AHN show. This helps us keep doing the work, stay on the air, keep paying the bills, etc. So it takes a lot to broadcast the African History Network show. So we definitely appreciate your support. And hold on, let me refresh the screen just a second here. All right, we're back. Okay, there we go. Now there's the chat. Okay, now you can post your comments. We can share them on the air. The chat was not populating here in my online studio. All right, let's go to, we also have the information at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can support us through PayPal and Cash App. All right, I want to go to this next story here. Muscogee Nation court rules descendants of enslaved people are entitled to citizenship. Okay, this is a significant development. I've been talking about this for years. One of my teachers, Dr. Claude Anderson, was fighting for this for a number of years as well. But Attorney Demario Solomon Simmons, who is Creek Indian, as well as a team that he's working with, have been able to get this accomplished. So ABC News has this piece. He was also on Roland Martin Unfiltered. We're going to go to that clip here in just a minute. Muscogee Nation Court rules descendants of enslaved people are entitled to citizenship. The Muscogee Supreme Court has ruled in favor of two descendants of former slaves held by the tribe. So this gets into understanding a lot of history as well. And unfortunately, a lot of our people, a lot of Americans in general, but especially African Americans, unfortunately, a lot of us don't understand history to even be able to take advantage of something like this. The Muscogee Nation Supreme Court ruled Wednesday that two descendants of people once enslaved by the tribe are entitled to tribal citizenship. Now, some people are surprised to find out that you had some Native Americans, not all Native American nations, but some Native American nations owned enslaved African people. The Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, Cherokee, and Seminole Indians are known as what are known as the five civilized tribes of Native Americans, because they took on the ways of Europeans, of the white man. They learned English. They owned slaves. They started farming. They adopted ways of Europeans. So they were known as the 5 civilized tribes of Native Americans. Now, I'm not saying all 560 some odd tribal nations of Native Americans owned slaves. No, I'm not saying that. But these were the 5 who were the most involved in it. Okay, not the only ones, but these were the 5 nations most involved in it. Let's go back to this piece here. All right, so the Muscogee Nation Supreme Court ruled Wednesday, and that was Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025, that 2 descendants of people once enslaved by the tribe are entitled to tribal citizenship. The court found that the tribal nation's citizenship board violated an 1866 treaty when it denied the applications of Rhonda Grayson and Jeffrey Kennedy in 2019 because they could not identify a lineal descendant of the tribe, because they could not identify a lineal descendant of the tribe. Okay, now let me just pause it right here, because to understand this, you have to understand history. And this is why African-American history is so important. This is why history is so important. And a people's history and culture teaches them how to deal with the problems of the past. A people's history and culture teaches them how to deal with the problems of the past in the present and the future to meet the needs of the community. It's important for everyone to understand African-American history, because largely the way you treat a people is based upon what you have been taught about a people. What you've been taught about a people is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about a people. So if people have not been taught about the accomplishments and achievements of African Americans, what we have contributed to this country, who we are, and especially our history prior to slavery, then they are more susceptible to believe and act upon stereotypes that are promoted by a white-controlled media, largely stereotypes that negatively depict African Americans. Okay, so Americans in general are ignorant of history. African Americans in general are ignorant of history as well. And then when you try to get policies put in place to address historical structural inequities, a lot of times the lawmakers that you're dealing with are ignorant of your history. So many of them don't even understand that they don't understand. This is why history is so important. This is one of the reasons why history is so important. Okay, now this history ties into the origins of Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, in the Greenwood District in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Why is that? Because the Indian Removal Act of 1830, signed into law by President Andrew Jackson, this moved the Choctaw, Chickasaw, Creek, Cherokee, and Seminole Indians off of their land in southeastern United States, the Alabama, Georgia, all that area. They're pushed out west over 1,000 miles in what's known as the Trail of Tears. They all go into Oklahoma. Tulsa, Oklahoma was founded by Creek Indians around 1834. When they go into Oklahoma, they take their African slaves with them. Okay, and about 1/3 of the people on what's known as the Trail of Tears, about 1/3 of the people on the Trail of Tears were African people. Most of them slaves. Some of them are, sometimes people refer to them as servants, but they were slaves of those Native American nations. The word Tulsa comes from the Creek Indian word Tallahassee. And if you read Hannibal B. Smith's book on Black Wall Street, he breaks this down in it. I read his book. Hannibal B. Johnson, so not Hannibal B. Smith, Hannibal B. Johnson, this book right here. Black Wall Street from Riot to Renaissance in Tulsa's historic Greenwood district. This is one of the best books dealing with the history of getting deep into the history and the origins of Tulsa, Oklahoma. So a lot of the early African-American landowners in Tulsa, Oklahoma got land from the Black Freedmen Indian Treaties of 1866. We have a history of getting benefits from these treaties, but many of our ancestors were pushed out of these treaties because the 5 civilized tribes of Native Americans conspired with the United States government about 1941 to redefine what a Native American is. And they stated that you had to have 1/4 or 1 quantum Native American blood. So a lot of our ancestors were pushed out of these treaties. I'm going to go back to this article in a minute. It's important to understand this background history. This is what I've been talking about. Okay. Some of you all have seen this article here that I've referenced. And when we had the 100th anniversary or commemoration of the Black Wall Street race massacre in 2021, and news media from all over the country was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a lot of this history started coming out, but a lot of people really didn't understand it and really understand how to put all of this, all of the pieces together. So they're hearing Creek Indian. I saw some interviews in mainstream media, and Roland Martin was down there also in Tulsa doing interviews. I saw some interviews with some people who were Black Creek Indians, and this history started coming out, right? Okay, now listen, look at this article here. This is from history.com, the official website of the History Channel. 9 entrepreneurs who helped build Tulsa's Black Wall Street. Okay. See, this is why you have an attack on African-American history, because you have to understand history, economics, law, and politics. History, economics, law, and politics. All this is connected. Before the Tulsa Race Massacre, the city's African-American district thrived as a community of business leaders and visionaries. This is by Alexis Clark. Excellent article. But here's what I want to focus on right here. Number one, let's stop this video. African Americans and land ownership in Oklahoma. Before, let's zoom in on this, because this is the history that they don't want people to know. Okay. Before the Greenwood District was established, African Americans came to Oklahoma in the mid-19th century as slaves of the 5 civilized tribes. Okay. The term used for the Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Creek, and Seminole tribes who were forced from their lands in the southeast part of the United States, of the country, resettling in Oklahoma, then known as Indian Territory. After the Civil War, under the terms of the treaties of 1866, everybody listen to me. Now, all these goddamn people out here talking about doing a goddamn study, and none of them are talking about this. Our ancestors were actually getting treaties, getting land, getting membership in Native American nations. Okay, getting all of the benefits, while people are still trying to get HR 40 passed to do a study. Damn near none of them are talking about this. After the Civil War, under the terms of the treaties of 1866, these African Americans were emancipated, with some integrating into the tribes, a relationship that would later provide freedmen with their own land. While people still keep talking about a damn study. Quote, now this is Hannibal B. Johnson, one of the top historians on the history of Oklahoma and Black Wall Street. Hannibal B. Johnson said the relative wealth of some Black folks in Oklahoma comes in part through their connection to the tribes and their land ownership. Says Hannibal B. Johnson, historian and author of Black Wall Street 100. That's the second book that was dealing with the 100th anniversary of the Tulsa Race Massacre. And author of Black Wall Street 100, an American city grapples with this historical racial trauma. The Dawes Act, you got to understand history. The Dawes Allotment Act of 1887 authorized the government to divide tribal lands into allotments for individual Native Americans. This is the Dawes Rolls, the Dawes Allotment Act. This is how you get the term $5 Indian. All of this history is connected. This is why people keep playing games with us. This is why they are attacking African American history, to keep you ignorant so they can keep playing games in your face. So at the very same time that Project 2025, Donald Trump, the Heritage Foundation, conservatives, along with Black MAGA, along with some Black social media disinformation agents who continue to lie to Black people, at the very same time that they're attacking African American history, suppressing the history, they keep going back into the history and using laws from the same period of time that they are suppressing the teaching of the history of. So 1798, the Insurrection Act of 1798, Donald Trump wants to implement the Insurrection Act. You have the Comstock Act of 1873, named after Anthony Comstock, that could actually ban contraceptives and the mailing of contraceptives, okay? Criminalize that. You have the attack on the 14th Amendment of 1868, which was primarily, not exclusively, not only, but primarily for African Americans, for former slaves and their descendants, to give them citizenship rights, okay? You have that being attacked and used against us. All right. So that was used against us when it came to affirmative action in college admissions. They said it violated Section 1, the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment of 1868. You have the Civil Rights Act of 1866, the same year as the Black Freedmen Indian Treaties. The Civil Rights Act of 1866, which was created to pass by Congress, signed into law by the president. I think that was it was Johnson. He didn't sign it. I think that was I think they had a super majority. They overrode his veto. The Civil Rights Act of 1866 formed the foundation of the 14th Amendment of 1868. And this was designed to give African Americans the right to negotiate labor contracts and enter into contracts. That's the Civil Rights Act of 1866. Well, that was used to attack the Fearless Fund, the African American female entrepreneurs that created the fund to give grants and things like this for women of color entrepreneurs. When conservative activist Ed Bloom, after he destroyed affirmative action in college admissions, he then went after the Fearless Fund and sued them based upon a violation of the Civil Rights Act of 1866, saying that they were discriminating against white entrepreneurs. But the Civil Rights Act of 1866 was for Black people. So at the same time, when they try to suppress the teaching of this history, they're going back into this history and using laws from the same period of time, many of the laws designed for African Americans, they're now using those laws to attack us. And people are sitting there dumbfounded, still talking about trying to get a study done for reparations. Who the hell are you going to get to pass that? And then how are you going to protect against legal lawsuits when they use the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment of 1868 and it goes to Donald Trump's 6-3 conservative Supreme Court that's already ruled against us. But almost none of those people are talking about this right here. The Black Freedmen Indian Treaties of 1866. I've been breaking this down for years. I've talked about Demario Solomon Simmons on my show going back a few years ago because he was working with Maxine Waters under the Biden-Harris administration trying to get this enforced. And he was able to do it through the Muscogee Creek Indian Supreme Court. Okay, I'm going to go to the clip when he was on Roland Martin Unfiltered in just a minute, but I got to get his background history because I see so many people putting this nonsense out here talking about reparations. And I said, this was low-hanging fruit right here because we have a history of getting benefits from these treaties. And most people don't understand this history. Now, this is from the History Channel. The History Channel has this information. The Dawes Act of 1887 authorized the government to divide tribal territories into allotments for individual Native Americans, which included Black members. As word spread that Indian Territory was a safe place for African Americans to settle, between 1865 and 1920, more than 50 Black townships were founded in Oklahoma. So when the Tulsa Race Massacre happens, May 31st and June 1st, 1921, did you know that we rebuilt Black Wall Street? Did you know that we rebuilt Black Wall Street? Because a lot of people talk about it was destroyed. But when you read this book by Hannibal B. Johnson, From Riot to Renaissance in Tulsa's Historic Greenwood District, from Riot to Renaissance, he talks about it also being rebuilt. By 1926, there was about 240 thriving businesses. When Dr. W.B. Du Bois visits in 1926, he's marveled at how they have rebuilt. They got help from some of those 50 surrounding Black townships. We rebuilt it with our own dollars. We did not get help from the government to rebuild it. So how is it? Because I hear a lot of African Americans talk about we had this, we had that, and white people destroyed it. And it seems like they want to talk about more about white people destroying what we had as opposed to the fact that we rebuilt it a second time. And 99% of those people don't talk about the Black Freedmen Indian Treaties of 1866 and how that played a part in us acquiring land. These treaties are still being enforced for the 5 civilized tribes and Native Americans. This is why you have to understand law. This is why when I talk about the acronym HELP, history, economics, law, and politics. Politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. Okay, so read this article here. Excellent article. I've talked about a number of times on my show. It's originally from May 14th, 2021. Last updated May 28th, 2025. By this sister here, Alexis Clark, for history.com, official website of the History Channel. 9 entrepreneurs who helped build Tulsa's Black Wall Street. Okay, I want to go to let's go to this clip here from Roland Martin Unfiltered. Demario Solomon Simmons was on Roland's show this past week, talking about the case that he won. And he's an attorney, okay, talking about the case that he won in Muscogee Supreme Court. Just a second, let's go to this here. Black Creek Indians win citizenship battle after generations of erasure. And this is how you get a Sarah Rector. How many people are familiar with Sarah Rector? Sarah Rector, the richest American woman. Sarah Rector was the richest African-American woman in the early 1900s. Her family got land she and her family got land from the Black Freedmen Indian Treaties. Let's go to this clip here. Just a second, let's flip over here.
Where the Muscogee Nation, they now have to abide by a landmark ruling that recognizes African Americans and the descendants who are part of this nation. Attorney Damaro Solomon-Simmons has been leading this effort. We, of course, have talked about it several times as well. He joins us right now, of course, co-founder of Justice for Greenwood. So go ahead and tell us what's up with the Creek Freedmen. Walk people through what happened today and how significant this is to Mario.
Well, good to see you, Roland. This is very significant because for the first time in 46 years, Black Creeks, also known as Creek Freedmen, will now have their citizenship rights restored to the Muscogee Creek Nation. This will impact tens of thousands of Black Creeks throughout the nation who will not only receive their birthright and their citizenship rights, but also have opportunities to have tangible benefits, life-sustaining and altering benefits like free health care, child care, education benefits, etc.
Okay, so explain to folks, why would they have free health care, free child benefits? What, as a result of the Muscogee Nation? Explain that.
Sure. Well, the Muscogee Creek Nation was one of the five quote-unquote civilized tribes who in the late 1700s, early 1800s adopted European-style culture, speaking English and having a plantation-style economy. And a part of that was the enslavement of Africans and of their own indigenous Black members. And so when they was moved to Oklahoma in the 1830s and continued to enslave and continue to discriminate against their Black members, they sided with the Confederacy during the Civil War. They lost, obviously the Confederacy lost the war at the time, and so they had to do new treaties. And that treaty of 1866, which was negotiated and signed by 5 individuals, one of them being my four-time great-grandfather, Cal Tom, ended enslavement within the Creek Nation, and it also granted citizenship to all Creeks of African descent. But in 1979, the Creek Nation decided they did not want the Creeks of African descent anymore, and they illegally excluded us through their new constitution. And so we've been fighting that battle ever since. And today, their own Supreme Court affirmed that the Treaty of 1866 guarantees Creeks of African descent, also known as Creek Freedmen, to have full citizenship within the Creek Nation.
For folks who don't know, walk through how long this legal battle has been going on, because they were trying everything to shut y'all down.
Yeah, even when you came down, Roland, you saw it firsthand. Listen, I started working on this in 1999 when I was trying to get my own citizenship. And then when I graduated law school in 2004, this was the first case I took to trial in 2005. And we lost in 2007. We lost again in 2018. We lost in 2019. But we kept hitting it, and we had a victory in 2023 that the Creek Nation appealed. And it's from this appeal that we have finally heard their Supreme Court say, yes, you can win. Because in 2007, the Muscogee Nation Supreme Court ruled against us. So this is an amazing day. It is just, I can't stop smiling. And I just wish my grandmother, Johnny Mae Austin, who died in 2019 at 89 years old, who was a named plaintiff in our case in 2018, she spoke Creek, and she grew up on our Creek allotment. I just wish she was here to witness this.
Explain when you said their Supreme Court. People may not realize that these Native American tribes, they have a separate system than the United States Supreme Court.
Absolutely. Thank you, Roland, for that question. So the Creek Nation is the 4th largest Native American tribe in the nation. It has over 100,000 members or citizens. And so it has a fully functioning government with a principal chief, an executive office. It has a legislative office, which they call the National Council. And then they have a judiciary where they have a district court, just like in the United States. And then they have a Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court in the Muscogee Creek Nation has 7 members. 2 of those members had to recuse for our case, and so 5 members decided it, and I'm happy to report that it was a unanimous decision.
Okay, so they had to recuse themselves. Were they two of the ones who were previously involved in the case? So what happened there?
Yeah, the two that had to recuse themselves were previously involved in the drafting of the 1979 Constitution that excluded Black Creeks. And so I'm very happy that they did the right thing and recused from this particular case, because this case was about what is supreme. Is the Constitution of the Creek Nation, or is it the supreme law of the land because of the Treaty of 1866? So just for the listeners to understand, under the law, treaties of the United States is second only to the United States Constitution. So that's why we were saying no matter what their constitution, the Creek Nation's constitution stated from 1979, the Treaty of 1866 has never been abrogated or made invalid, and that is what covers and controls in this situation.
Huge issue. I want to bring in my panel right now. Joining us right now on our panel is, of course, Rebecca Carruthers, President CEO.
All right, we're going to pause it. I'm going to stop it there. You can watch the rest of that clip. Black Creeks win citizenship battle after generations of erasure. Okay, that's from Roland Martin Unfiltered. That was, I think that's from Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025. Okay. All right. So Demario Solomon Simmons gave some more background information. I want to go back to the article here from abcnews.com. Muscogee Nation court rules descendants of enslaved people are entitled to citizenship. Also, I'm going to go to this piece. I'm going to show you some slides from a presentation I did in 2022 talking about this, also talking about the Black Freedmen Indian Treaties. All right, let me go to, where is that? Hold on, let me pull back this article back up just a second here. The Oklahoman.com in Oklahoma, their news publication, they had a story about this also. All right, let's go back to this. Okay, Muscogee Nation court rules descendants of enslaved people are entitled to citizenship. Okay, it talked about the Dawes Rolls, the Dawes Allotment Act of 1887. So that was redistributing 138 million acres of land. 2/3 of it was, most of it was supposed to go to African Americans and Native Americans. 2/3 went to white people. When white people found out that this land was being given away, you had to anglicize your name. You had to put your name on the Dawes rolls and anglicize your name, change your name to a European name to get it. So a lot of white people paid $5 to have their names added to the Dawes rolls and get free land, get those benefits. That's where the term $5 Indian comes from. The Muscogee Nation is one of 5 tribes in Oklahoma that once practiced slavery. And in that 1866 treaty with the U.S. government, the tribe both abolished it and granted citizenship to formerly enslaved people. But in 1979, the tribal nation adopted a constitution that restricted membership to the descendants of people listed as Muscogee Creek Indians by blood. On the Dawes rolls, a census of members of the 5 tribes created around 1900. Goes back to 1887, the Dawes rolls. Okay, so read the rest of this article here. They talk about Rhonda Grayson. Okay, read the rest of this article from abcnews.com. Now, back in November 2022, I did a virtual presentation for the Midwest Building Decarbonization Coalition, their second annual virtual equity summit, equity summit. And I'm going to go to this slide because I was on a panel with African Americans and a couple Native Americans. I think it's about 6 or 7 of us in total. And we were talking about reparative justice, reparations. And Native Americans were talking about their movement to get some of their land back, things of this nature. And what I noticed was Native Americans were talking about treaties. African Americans were talking about reparations and getting a study done. None of them were talking about the Black Freedmen Indian Treaties, because that's something I was talking about. This article, this is one of these are. I'm going to show you some of the slides from the presentation I did in 2022. This article is from the New York Times, September 8th, 2020. Black, Native American, and fighting for recognition in Indian country. Black, Native American, and fighting for recognition in Indian country. Enslaved African people were also driven west along the Trail of Tears. After a historic Supreme Court ruling, their descendants are fighting to be counted as tribal members. Ron Graham's ancestors, are known as Creek Freedmen. These are the former slaves, Creek Freedmen or Black Freedmen. You hear that term also. They were among the thousands of African Americans who were once enslaved by tribal members in the South and who migrated to Oklahoma when the tribes were forced off their homelands and marched west in the 1830s. That's the Trail of Tears. In treaties signed after the Civil War is 1861 to 1865, they won freedom and were promised tribal citizenship and an equal stake in the tribe's lands and fortunes. But what followed were broken promises, exclusions, and painful fights over whether tens of thousands of their descendants should now be recognized as tribal members. Some of the descendants have won lawsuits seeking inclusion in the Cherokee Nation. That goes back to, some have won lawsuits. And then also in 2021, the Black Freedmen won a big lawsuit in the Cherokee Nation to get their full citizenship back. I think that was 2021. Some gained nominal citizenship as Seminoles, but said they could not access tribal services. Others, like Ron Graham, have nothing. But now a landmark Supreme Court decision for tribal sovereignty has breathed new life into their fight. In July 2020, the Supreme Court recognized a huge portion of eastern Oklahoma as reservation land under the terms of an 1866 treaty. The same treaty also guaranteed that freed slaves and their descendants would, quote, have and enjoy all the rights and privileges of Native citizens, end quote. Have and enjoy all the rights and privileges of Native citizens. To groups of their descendants, the logic was simple. If the United States still had to honor treaty promises it made to tribal nations, then tribal nations had to keep their word to the descendants of those formerly enslaved by the tribes. Okay. So they talk about Marilyn Vann. She said, we're making noise. She's a Cherokee citizen and president of the Descendants of Freedmen of the 5 Civilized Tribes. Marilyn Vann estimated that there was a diaspora of some 160,000 descendants of those formerly enslaved by the tribes, many of them living in Oklahoma. Many of them living in Oklahoma. There are groups representing descendants from each of the 5 tribes who meet to share sepia photographs of ancestors, compare genealogical records, and plan protests. Now, as they file lawsuits in federal and tribal courts, they say they are fighting for tribal benefits, including access to jobs, health care, and tribal clinics and hospitals, housing, scholarship funds for their children, and the right to vote in tribal elections. Scholarship funds, so that deals with free college tuition for many of them, free college tuition. But also for something more fundamental, my identity, Miss Marilyn Van said, okay, or Mr. Graham said, here, Mr. Graham. Okay, read this article here from, this one is from the Washington, is this Washington Post or New York Times? There was one from, okay, Black Native American and Fighting for Recognition in Indian Country. That's New York Times, September 8th, 2020. Then there's one from the Washington Post, Black Native American, it's either Washington Post or New York Times. Check that out. The freedmen were granted tribal citizenship in some cases and equal interest in the soil and national funds of the tribe in the treaties that Oklahoma's tribes signed with the federal government after the Civil War, in which the tribes were forced to cede huge portions of their land to the government. Now, thegrio.com has an article where Representative Maxine Waters tells thegrio.com that the Cherokee had 2,511 slaves, 15% of the total population. She talks about how many the Choctaw had, 2,349 slaves, etc. And this was because Demario Solomon Simmons was working with Maxine Waters, trying to get through Congress, U.S. Congress, things like this. He's since gone a different direction and gone to the Muscogee Creek Indian Supreme Court. Okay. And then also in that same presentation I did for the Midwest Decarbonization Environmental Justice Organization, I talked about this information here and some of the origins of African Americans in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Okay. From that article, 9 entrepreneurs who helped build Tulsa's Black Wall Street, from history.com, May 14th, 2021. Okay. So I was on the panel talking about enforcing these treaties for African Americans. Everybody else was talking about getting the study done. All the other African Americans on the panel talking about getting the study done. I was talking about enforcing these treaties because we already had a history of getting benefits from those treaties. Now, yes, this doesn't apply to all African Americans, but the ones this applies to can help others in their family, can help others start. That's low-hanging fruit right there. Now, how many people are familiar? So let me, 2 quick things I want to show you. Then we're going to go to the next topic because we're running out of time. And like I said, it's been 3, I haven't broadcasted live Sunday night since May, when I had Professor Kaba Kamene on. And we were dealing with him speaking in Detroit for African Liberation Day. Okay, there was a article from SmithsonianMag.com, Smithsonian Magazine, official magazine of the Smithsonian Institute, how Native American slaveholders complicate the Trail of Tears narrative. I've talked about this article before on the show also. Okay, how do y'all like this type of information? Give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, give us a... Be sure to register for my new history class that starts up Saturday, August 2nd, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. African Empires, the Moors, and the Transatlantic Slave Trade, 5000 BC to 1800 AD. Visit our website, africanhistorynetwork.com, africanhistorynetwork.com to register for that. Okay, let's look at this here. How Native American slaveholders complicate the Trail of Tears narrative. The new exhibition, Americans, at the National Museum of the American Indian prompts a deeper dive for historic truths. This is by Ryan P. Smith, March 6, 2018. Now, this house here, or mansion, Choctaw Chief Greenwood LaFleur had 15,000 acres of Mississippi land. Above is his Mississippi home, Malmaison. And he owned 400 enslaved Africans as well. Okay, he was a Choctaw chief. So they talk about when you think of the Trail of Tears, you likely imagine a long procession of suffering Cherokee Indians forced westward by a villainous Andrew Jackson, etc. But they go on to say what you probably don't picture are Cherokee slaveholders, foremost among them Cherokee Chief John Ross. What you probably don't picture are the numerous African-American slaves the Cherokee owned. Okay? The numerous African-American slaves the Cherokee owned. Let me close this ad out. Who made the brutal march themselves or else were shipped en masse to what is now Oklahoma aboard cramped boats by their wealthy Indian masters. Now, I'm not saying all Native American nations owned enslaved Africans, okay, but the 5 civilized tribes definitely did. Oklahoma aboard cramped boats by their wealthy Indian masters. And what you may not know is that the federal policy of Indian removal, which ranged far beyond the Trail of Tears and the Cherokee, was not simply the vindictive scheme of Andrew Jackson, President Andrew Jackson, but rather a popularly endorsed, congressionally sanctioned campaign spanning the administrations of 9 separate presidents. Okay, so about a third of, when you study this history, about a third of the people on the Trail of Tears were African people. All right, once again, they talk about the 5 civilized tribes of Native Americans. Okay, so read this article from SmithsonianMag.com, Smithsonian Institute, How Native American Slaveholders Complicate the Trail of Tears Narrative. How Native American Slaveholders Complicate the Trail of Tears Narrative. All right, now, if you like this type of information, be sure to register for my new online history class that starts up Saturday, August 2nd, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. African Empires, the Moors, and the Transatlantic Slave Trade, 5000 BC to 1800 AD. It's a 10-week online class. This is a very visual class. We do a PowerPoint presentation. I have a PowerPoint presentation. The video clips that I show, there are 15 books that we use in the class that we reference. You don't have to buy any of the books because I show you the clips. I show you the screenshots right on the screen. So you don't have to buy any of the books, okay? If you don't want to. There are excerpts of interviews that I've done with some of our scholars that we show in class also. And this content is PG-13. So you can use it with your children. So we deal with thousands of years of history, and also what leads up to the transatlantic slave trade. And one of the things we look at are African empires. So whether it's Kush, whether it's Nubia, whether it's Axum, Merowe, whether it's Great Zimbabwe, Carthage, and the Carthaginians, and Hannibal Barca. We go throughout history and we look at these African empires, okay? And then we also deal with the history of the Moors, going into Europe, taking the teachings of the Nile Valley region of Africa. We deal with ancient Kemet also, taking the teachings from the Nile Valley region of Africa, taking that into Europe. This is what brings Europe out of the Dark Ages. And then we deal with the transatlantic slave trade, how that came about, and the dispersing of African people, but also how we fought against the transatlantic slave trade every step of the way. Click right here to register here also, and it takes you here. So the class is on sale, $80. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. And you can email me right through the website, also at the top of the page, contact the African History Network. But you'll get 5 of my lectures in digital download format. You get 5 of my lectures free as well. So you can register right now for that. We have the link here in the thread of the broadcast. It's also on my, also go to my website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. It's right on the home page. Great African empires, the Moors, and the transatlantic slave trade, 5000 BC to 1800 AD. Okay, let's continue here. You can also support us through Cash App and PayPal, $ the AHN show through Cash App, and through PayPal, paypal.me / the AHN show. We have that information at our website also. And in the thread of the broadcast. All right, let's go to the next topic here. I had to really shorten. There's a lot more that I wanted to talk about with these different topics. Well, there's a lot more topics I wanted to talk about, but we only have so much time and only have so much energy. Okay, next topic. So, Nicole Hannah-Jones was on, she was on MSNBC a few weeks ago, interviewed by Charles Coleman and attorney Charles Coleman Jr. And she was talking about how Donald Trump has upended 60 years of civil rights progress. Donald Trump has upended 60 years of civil rights progress in 2 months. So she wrote a essay for the New York Times. It's an extensive essay. I printed it out. It's 14 pages. And I'm going to go to that. How Trump upended 60 years of civil rights in 2 months. Let me pull this up here just a second here. And this deals with the consequences of elections. This deals with a lot of what I was talking about before the November 5th, 2024 election, warning people about Project 2025, warning people about Agenda 47, which is the Agenda 47 was Donald Trump's agenda, which mirrors Project 2025. Project 2025 basically tells you how to implement Agenda 47. How Trump upended 60 years of civil rights in 2 months. Let's look quickly at this, and then I'm going to go to the video. An assault on federal protections may bring about a new era of unchecked discrimination. This is by Nicole Hannah-Jones. She talks about how last year a little-known office in the U.S. Department of Labor helped Black workers at a Texas medical center recover $900,000 in back wages. Recover $900,000 in back wages. And Black workers at a Caterpillar plant in Illinois recover $800,000 each time over allegations that applicants lost out on jobs because of their race. It was called the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs. This division investigates and fights employment discrimination for 1/5 of the U.S. labor force. It was created in 1965 when President Lyndon Johnson signed an executive order strengthening the provision of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 that banned racial discrimination by employers. Okay, so this goes back to Lyndon Johnson. Now remember, Trump's second day back in office, he rescinded Executive Order 11246, which is affirmative action. That dealt with affirmative action in federal government contracts. Okay. Now, what Nicole Hannah-Jones here is talking about is the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs. All right. And this division investigates and fights employment discrimination for 1/5 of the U.S. labor force. It was created in 1965 when President Lyndon Johnson signed an executive order strengthening the provision of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 that banned racial discrimination by employers. Okay, so the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs specifically enforced the law among businesses and institutions that contracted with the government or received federal funds. Okay, that's affirmative action. The landmark law also banned segregation and discrimination in all public places, including schools, libraries, restaurants, and buses. For more than 60 years, the executive order helped many thousands of workers who had endured discrimination. Yet, despite the law, research shows that African Americans continue to face pervasive employment discrimination at a rate that has not declined since the late 1980s. On his second day in office, Donald Trump labeled the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs efforts to enforce the 1964 Civil Rights Act illegal and discriminatory, presumably against white people. Donald Trump labeled this illegal and discriminatory, presumably against white people. So one of the themes of Donald Trump's campaign in 2024 was white grievance, and that white people were the main people harmed by racism. And he was dealing with white people's grievances. And when you read Project 2025, you see this theme with the attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion, the attack on affirmative action. And they were saying that white people, they're talking about reverse racism, and they're saying that white people were the ones being harmed by all these programs. And Project 2025 was a direct backlash to the racial reckoning that took place in this country after the killing of George Floyd, May 25th, 2020. And since Trump has been in office this 6 months, you've seen a total reversal of all these programs and initiatives from the past 4 years, but he's wiped out a lot of the progress that we've made over the past 60 years. if you've been paying attention to what's going on. Now, if you haven't been paying attention and you've been watching reality TV shows and just been stuck underneath a rock, then you're not going to understand any of this. Okay, I want to go to this clip here. So read the rest of this article because it is deep. Okay. Let me share a little bit more with you, and then I'm going to go to this clip of her, Nicole Hannah-Jones on MSNBC breaking this down. Donald Trump signed his own executive order revoking President Johnson's executive order on behalf of, as he put it, quote, hardworking Americans who deserve a shot at the American dream, end quote. Now, this is the day after, remember when Donald Trump was inaugurated, he said that they were going to fulfill Dr. King's dream, have a colorblind society. He had this brain damaged Negro preacher from Detroit to recite Dr. King's I Have a Dream speech, and none of those people actually understand the speech, because the speech was about dismantling white supremacy and racism. Because in the speech, Dr. King talks about fighting against police brutality. He talks about 100 years prior, in 1863, with the Emancipation Proclamation, African Americans being given a promissory note. And when we took that promissory note to the bank to deposit it, is marked insufficient funds. He talks about voter suppression, housing segregation, all these things. He's talking about dismantling white supremacy and racism. The beloved community, when Mahalia Jackson screams out, tell them about the dream, Martin, and he shifts and starts talking about the dream, that's about the beloved community. That's what happens after you have dismantled white supremacy and racism. So a lot of people want to talk about the dream, but they don't want to talk about Dr. King calling out white supremacy and racism and calling for the dismantling of it. See, a lot of people want to pimp Dr. King and think if we just talk about everybody getting along and everybody loving each other and black and white children holding hands, somehow you have achieved the beloved community. No, you haven't dismantled white supremacy and racism yet. And with this Trump administration in place, they don't even want to admit that racism exists, because they said we're going to have a colorblind society. So all the programs that were designed to level the playing field and repair some of the damage of historic racism, they're wiping all that out and say, we want a colorblind society. Everything's equal. We're going to wipe all this stuff out. This is what they've been doing the past 6 months. Now, I want the reparations people who said, now pay close attention. The reparations people who said, we're not going to vote unless we get reparations. We ain't going to vote for Biden. We ain't going to vote for Biden. We ain't going to vote for Kamala unless we get reparations. Now, what are you getting from Trump? Because Trump said he's going to unleash the police on your ass. And Trump said he campaigned on giving police 100% immunity from criminal prosecution. Now, how you going to get reparations from Trump? How you going to get reparations from a Congress controlled by Republicans? They don't even want to acknowledge that the harm exists, let alone do something about it. If they're going to take away Medicaid from 11.8 million people, if they're going to take away Medicaid from poor white people in rural Georgia, Mississippi, Louisiana that voted for them, now explain to me how you get reparations from them. Within the week, Trump's acting Secretary of Labor ordered the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs to, quote, immediately cease and desist all investigative and enforcement activity, end quote, and close all open cases. A few weeks later, the OFCCP's acting director proposed slashing its staff by 90%. Now, the attack from Doge on cutting the federal government, gutting the federal government of employees, 2.3 million federal employees, gutting it, 19% of the federal employees are African American. So when you talk about gutting the federal workforce, you're talking about defunding Black America. You're talking about negatively impacting us financially and our health care through our jobs. We're paying for homes, paying for mortgages. We're paying for children in college. It was Trump's 6-3 conservative Supreme Court that struck down Joe Biden's executive order on student loan forgiveness. And African Americans disproportionately carry student loan debt. That would have greatly helped many of us. In fewer than 2 months, 6 decades of civil rights enforcement was essentially dead. In fewer than 2 months, 6 decades of civil rights enforcement was essentially dead. Trump has justified these actions by claiming he is rooting out racial discrimination disguised as, quote, wait for it, diversity, equity, and inclusion. What they are doing, this is laid out in Project 2025. What they are doing is using what they call diversity, equity, inclusion in any programs that were remotely beneficial for African Americans. They're saying that we're rooting out discrimination and racism by wiping out these programs that were helping African Americans. And they're calling that DEI, and DEI is wrong. And we want a merit-based society. We want a meritocracy. So we're going to fulfill Dr. King's dreams. We're going to wipe out all these goddamn programs that were remotely helping Black people. And most of Black MAGA is silent while all this is being done. Trump has justified these actions by claiming he is rooting out racial discrimination disguised as diversity, equity, inclusion. Indeed, the other federal agency charged with investigating employment discrimination, the EEOC, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, recently created a page on its website dedicated to helping white Americans file complaints based on being victimized by diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Now, all this was laid out in Project 2025. Now, I was talking about Project 2020. I've been talking about Project 2025 since 2023 because it came out April 2023 from the Heritage Foundation. They put out a 922-page playbook telling you what they were going to do. And people, many of our people still just walking around clueless, dumbfounded. Like, you notice everybody has a smartphone and many of them are dumber than ever. Everybody has a smartphone. There's a Google machine on your smartphone. You know, the smartphone is probably the most powerful invention in the last 40 years. Yeah, the laptop computer going from mainframes to desktops to laptop, but you have all this access to knowledge in the palm of your hand. Not only that, did you know that for instance, with Google Chrome and with Microsoft Edge, did you know they have a feature in the browser where they will read the article to you? Now, New York Times and Washington Post, they have that feature. If you subscribe to them, because I have digital subscriptions to all of them. I have digital subscriptions to New York Times, Washington Post, right? So sometimes when I'm at work, I'm listening to articles because they have the feature that you press the button and it reads the article to you. But if you look here, okay, so this is, all right, so I just pulled up an article right here, okay? Montgomery Civil Rights Era newspaper honored with historical marker. This is from WSFA Channel 12. Okay, so up here, like Google Chrome, you got the 3 vertical dots up here, upper right-hand corner. You click on that, okay, and then this menu drops down, right? And then you look at that option right there. Listen to the page. Listen to this page. You click on listen to this page, and
published by WSFA. Montgomery, Allah. WSFA, a Montgomery-based civil rights era newspaper, has received a historical marker honoring its coverage of historical events.
It will read the article to you.
Ellen Lake wrote for Harvard
And
University's newspaper while pursuing her education.
You can put in hibernation
When
mode.
Lake noticed that there was
It'll read the article to you.
and a lack of coverage of civil rights issues in mainstream
This is
media.
Google Chrome. So we got all of this access to knowledge, and people just walking around dumbfounded. I don't understand. I'm sorry. I don't understand it. Not only that, they're paying a cell phone bill each month and just walking around just a head full of mush.
This seems like a fragment
It makes no sense to me. I don't understand things like that. You know, I admit I consume more news. I do more reading on a daily basis than the average person. I monitor about 35 different news sources on a daily basis. I do understand it, but damn, it's like, come on. All right, so but to see what Trump is doing as simply eliminating so-called DEI is to misunderstand the scale and the consequences. What's at stake is not only corporate diversity trainings, equity offices, and the use of pronouns and email signatures. Many diversity, equity, and inclusion programs were put in place to help ensure compliance with civil rights laws and to foster integration in a society that for most of its history explicitly discriminated against Black Americans, African Americans. No court has deemed these programs illegal. See, this is what is so insidious. And Donald Trump is a dictator. He's a thug, rotten to the core, no morals. Okay, dictator, hung out with a pedophile, Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know how many pedophiles he hung out with, but he hung out with at least one. Jeffrey Epstein, well, Ghislaine Maxwell too. So that makes 2. Okay. No court has ruled that diversity, equity, and inclusion is illegal. Donald Trump claims that it is. So his executive orders, and he did 145 executive orders in the first 100 days. Not all of them dealt with DEI, but what they're doing is they're saying DEI is illegal. They're investigating universities using diversity, equity, and inclusion as the pretext. And they're saying DEI is illegal. No court has ruled that DEI is illegal. No court has deemed these programs illegal. Yet in the opening months of his second term, Trump has capitalized on the unpopularity of equality efforts among some Americans, glibly wielding the language of DEI to initiate the broadest and most significant assault on civil rights and racial integration in the country in more than a century. is President Johnson with Dr. King, Whitney Young, and James Farmer in January 1964. Since returning to power, Donald Trump has used his singular authority as the head of the federal government to recast the white majority as the primary victims of systemic racial discrimination. This is what I'm talking about. This is what he's been doing. This is what he campaigned on. White grievance. This is what he campaigned on. Now, where are all the black people who said they were voting for Trump because they thought they were going to get stimulus checks? Because they thought he gave them stimulus checks in his first term because he put his signature on them, when actually it was Congress that did that and passed the stimulus checks, part of the coronavirus package. That came from Congress, Article 1, Section 9 of U.S. Constitution, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 7, power of the purse. The ability to tax and spend belongs to Congress. So you had black people saying, we want those stimmies again. Donald Trump didn't campaign on stimulus checks for black people. He did campaign on unleashing the police on your black ass, though. Everybody has a smartphone and we're dumber than ever. Since returning to power, Trump has used his singular authority as the head of the federal government to recast the white majority as the primary victims of systemic racial discrimination, though no evidence, not even self-reporting among white people, shows this to be true. Okay, read the rest of this here, because this is, like I said, this is a long essay, man. This is deep. Okay, I want to go to this clip here for the sake of time. And I guess I'm going to have to start broadcasting more often. I've been so busy and I work full time and I work 16 hours overtime this weekend. So it's been hectic. So when you support the African History Network and you support us through Cash App, PayPal, or register for our classes, that helps out a lot because it takes a lot to run the African History Network and pay the bills, etc. I want to go to this clip here from, this is from MSNBC. I think she was on Velshi with, this is from like late June 2025. Charles Coleman, yeah, on Velshi show. Charles Coleman Jr., the attorney. It's not bad for a Q. He interviewed Nicole Hannah-Jones. Trump is eradicating the enforcement mechanisms for our civil rights. And she was talking about her essay. Let's go to this clip here. I've been wanting to talk about this for a few weeks, but I've been so busy.
SNBC, I'm Charles Coleman Jr. filling in for Allie today. Now, since returning to office, Donald Trump has dismantled decades-old agencies and initiatives which were initially designed to protect Black Americans and other marginalized communities. He has justified these actions by claiming he's rooting out racial discrimination disguised as diversity, equity, and inclusion. But as Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Nicole Hannah-Jones points out in a new essay for the New York Times Magazine, in just months, Trump has managed to upend 6 decades of civil rights progress. And here's how. He's effectively dismantled the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs. This is the very agency created to enforce the Civil Rights Act and to prevent discrimination in employment tied to federal dollars. He's also gutted the funding and staff needed to investigate and fight housing discrimination. He shuttered the Office of Environmental Justice and External Civil Rights, which addressed the fact that Black communities are disproportionately exposed to toxic pollutants, pesticides, and waste. He's also closed the Department of Veteran Affairs Equity Office. Now, that office was dedicated to addressing the racial disparities in how disabled veterans receive compensation. He shut down regional civil rights offices that were key to fighting discrimination in schools and to enforcing desegregation. And he's even forced schools to eliminate initiatives that diversify teacher pipelines and support Black students to help close the achievement gap. And that's just some of what he's done as part of an effort, sweeping effort, to dismantle every program, every office, law, or mandate designed to protect the civil rights of Black Americans and other marginalized communities. These are protections that are still very much so desperately needed as the data continues to show that Black Americans suffer disproportionate discrimination across every sector of American life. Perhaps most disturbingly, he's now using the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department to enforce executive orders dismantling diversity programs. Nicole Hannah-Jones put it plainly, quote, by deploying the Civil Rights Act against the very people it was created to protect, conservatives hope to get as close to the ultimate goal as possible, repealing it. Joining me now is Nicole Hannah-Jones. She's a Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter, the New York Times Magazine creator of the 1619 Project, and the founder of the Center for Journalism and Democracy at the Howard University, which is probably the most important thing on her resume. Nicole, good morning. Thank you so much for being here. Always a pleasure to talk to you. I read the piece. Phenomenal historical account of the progression of both civil rights in America and their dismantling. One of the central themes that I think is really important that you talk about, I'd love to expand on, is the notion that regardless of what's codified, if you don't have these agencies and institutions that are intended to enforce the laws that are on the books, it leaves our rights as Black people subject to erasure.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on to discuss this piece. And that is really a key theme of the essay. We understand that laws need enforcement when it comes to almost everything except civil rights. We understand that just because you outlaw murder doesn't mean you don't need a police department. It doesn't mean that you don't need an entire system of justice to enforce the laws and make sure that people follow them. Yet when it comes to civil rights, we kind of believe that they're self-enforcing, that just the very existence of those laws are enough to make people end discrimination and for us all to have equality. Of course, that's never been true. So what Trump is doing in his administration is basically, he doesn't have the ability to overturn the 1964 Civil Rights Act or the Voting Rights Act or the Fair Housing Act, but he can gut the entire enforcement mechanism and send the message that if you discriminate, there's no one in federal government that is actually going to enforce the law. So what I tried to show in this piece is we have been here before in America. You know, the entire civil rights movement was fought to really vindicate rights that Black people had already won following the end of slavery. The civil rights acts that were passed in the 1860s, the 14th Amendment, the 15th Amendment. These were laws that had already been passed, and yet they existed on paper. And when you had a federal government and state governments that wouldn't enforce them, it's as if those laws did not exist, and Black people were certainly not protected by them. And so this is the fear, is that we're entering another era like that.
You know, Nicole, in your connection to history, the way that you just did, another theme that I noticed when I read the piece was this conversation about how disinformation and distortion of a narrative actually shapes opinions around the necessity for civil rights, and how at the turn of Reconstruction, there was an effort by school teachers and textbooks to essentially whitewash history in such a way that made people think differently about the first Black Republicans that were elected to the Senate following Reconstruction, following slavery, and how that shaped things, and how now there's also a similar disinformation campaign that has made it seemingly more okay for folks to be not as outraged that civil rights are being erased just 5 years after America's racial reckoning in 2020. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Streamline the way you trade on Robinhood. Not only can you trade stocks, ETFs.
Hold on just a second. Let me get past this ad.
Absolutely. So we know that these efforts to rewrite history, these disinformation campaigns, they go hand in hand. They erase the history first, and that allows them then to erase your rights. And so I talk about this organization called the United Daughters of the Confederacy that rises up after the end of the Civil War. I liken them to, the the post-Reconstruction era version of the Moms for Liberty that we see today, which is this group of white women who decide that they want to rewrite the narrative around the white South and why we ever had a civil war in the first place. And so they begin to take control and try to urge the changing of curriculum. They're writing textbooks, and they are basically legitimizing Jim Crow because they are writing a story, a narrative of the South that Black people were incapable of self-governance, that Black people were getting jobs and getting positions that they didn't deserve. That may sound familiar to the times that we're in, and that Black people were not the rightful participants in democracy. So you have these narratives that are being put out in textbooks, that are being placed, all of the Confederate monuments that we saw, those don't begin until after the fall of Reconstruction. They don't happen right after slavery. And that's creating a narrative that allows the stripping of Black people's rights. So I think we're seeing a similar effort here, these efforts to really downplay the history of racism, to downplay Black accomplishments. The federal government, the Donald Trump administration, we've paid a lot of attention to the way that they have been working to erase the accomplishments of Black people. We haven't paid as much attention to the way that they're actually eradicating the enforcement mechanisms for our civil rights. I think that is just as critical. And the last point I want to quickly make, we keep labeling this DEI. That's because the Trump administration is saying that what he's doing is challenging DEI. Well, first of all, no court has ever said DEI is illegal or discriminatory, but also they're not actually tackling DEI alone. They're actually dismantling the ability to integrate our organizations to try to bring about equality and the enforcement of civil rights.
Always something that I think about, which is paying as much attention to the equality of outcomes as we have tried to the equality of opportunity. So much I can talk to you about this, but thank you for your time this morning, Nicole. That is esteemed journalist and Howard University professor, Nicole Hannah-Jones.
Okay.
Welcome back to Velshi on MSNBC. I'm Charles.
All right. So that is from Ali Velshi show on MSNBC. Charles Coleman Jr. was sitting there for him. Fantastic segment. Okay. This is deep what's taking place. And this is what we were warning people about. So we have to continue to fight this, continue to educate ourselves. We have to leverage our economics to enforce our political agenda as well. We're going to have to engage in continue with economic boycotts against corporations, but also, as I've said on Roland Martin Unfiltered, go after some of the corporations that help to finance Republicans and put them in office as well. Go after the top 3 or 4 corporations and have nationwide economic boycotts against them. And also, we have to look at where our pension fund dollars are invested, because oftentimes we finance our own dehumanization through where our pension fund dollars are invested and our 401k dollars, because you can redirect where those dollars are invested as well. It's been done before. To give you one quick example, then we have to move on. Back in June, I think it was 2017, in New York City, the city employees in New York City, they withdrew $48 million in pension fund dollars from privatized prisons. They found out they were invested in privatized prisons. Okay. So we have to redistribute the pain through targeted, sustained economic withdrawal strategies and leverage our economics to enforce our political agenda. Okay, let's look at this article here quickly. This is from New York News. And refresh the screen right quick. Just give me a minute here. Stand by. I'm going to refresh the screen here. All right, we're back. So that should clear up everything. Everything should move smoother now. Let's look at this article here. I've talked about this a number of times before. New York City pension fund to back out of investments in private prisons. So when you research this, this actually happened. Okay, they actually did it. NYC pension fund to back out of investments in private prisons. This is from, it was last updated April 8th, 2018. I think it's originally from, it's originally from June 8th, 2017. New York City's pension system has become the first in the nation to fully divest from private prisons. Controller Scott Stringer will announce Thursday. The city, they're trying to get me to sign up for something. The city has sold off about $48 million in stocks and bonds. Hold on. Damn. All right, hold on just a second here. Let me see if I can get past this. All right, let's continue here. Okay, the city has sold off about $48 million in stocks and bonds of 3 private prisons, according to the controller's office, after a unanimous vote from the fund's trustees. After a unanimous vote from the fund's trustees. The move comes after a scathing federal audit of private prison facilities last year, and after 8 immigrant detainees have died in the last fiscal year while in private immigration detention centers, which house 65% of immigration and custom enforcement detainees. So these private prison companies like Core Civic and Geo Group, they've gotten contracts from Trump, from the federal government, to house migrants, just like they were doing in his first administration, because the private prison companies have financially backed Trump because he supports private prisons. So if you are against private prisons, but you voted for Trump, you are a damn fool. If you are against private prisons and you voted for Trump, Trump is a big supporter of privatized prisons. The trustees of the city's pension funds voted in favor of divesting in a mid-May meeting. The stocks and bonds in 3 companies, Geo Group, Core Civic, and G4S, have since been sold, Stringer's office said. Okay. All right, read the rest of this piece here. Research this. New York pension fund to back out of investments in private prisons. There are other examples, but I don't have time to get into that. Now, this is an example of leveraging our economics to enforce our political agenda. All right, now let's see. Let me go to this next story quickly here, because we're going to wrap this up in a few minutes. How do you all like this type of information? Give us a thumbs up, give us a heart, give us a like on this broadcast. Who still needs to register for my new 10-week online history class? African empires, the Moors, and the transatlantic slave trade, 5000 BC to 1800 AD. Visit my website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Scroll down, we have it right here. Class 1 starts up Saturday, August 2nd, 2025, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Classes on sale, $80. Click right here to register here. You can pay debit card, credit card, pay through PayPal. If you need to pay through Cash App, email me through the website. And email me your Cash App handle. I'll send you a request. Oh, hold on. Move this over. Okay. All right. African empires, the Moors, and the transatlantic slave trade. You know, I've been teaching these online classes going back to 2017. Okay. Class number 1 starts up Saturday, August 2nd, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. Also, we're going to update the lesson plan. You'll be able to download the lesson plan as well. We have a lesson plan for each class session. So we deal with 80 to 100 articles. There's 200 slides in the class. We deal with thousands of years of history. We deal with African empires, kingdoms, African rulers. And then also we'll deal with the history of the Moors going into Europe, taking the teachings from the Nile Valley region of Africa into Europe. And this is what's going to bring Europe out of the Dark Ages. We'll deal with the beginning of the transatlantic slave trade also, and better understanding that, and also how African people fought back against the transatlantic slave trade, and going into throughout the diaspora, how we kept a lot of African culture, African ways of doing things, how this gets infused into and meshed with a new European culture that's being forced upon us. Okay. So it's a lot of history that we deal with in this class. Okay. So visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can use this information with your children also. The content is PG-13. So it's not overly graphic. I don't do a lot of cursing, things like that. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. So you can go back and watch it anytime as well. Okay. All right. Now, next topic here. Let me get to this quickly. So we know that Trump released the MLK Files, 240,000 pages of MLK files, and he's doing this to distract from not releasing the Jeffrey Epstein files. Now, yes, he did say he did sign an executive order back in January to release these files and JFK files, things like this. We didn't learn a lot of new things from these files, but the timing is suspect. Okay. And at the same time, Speaker Mike Johnson shut down the sent the House of Representatives on recess one day early to avoid taking the vote to release the Jeffrey Epstein files. Okay. More cover-up is taking place. Trump administration releases FBI records on MLK Jr. despite his family's opposition. This is from the Associated Press, July 21st, 2025. The Trump administration on Monday released records of the FBI surveillance on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. despite opposition from the slain Nobel laureate's family and the civil rights group that he led until his 1968 assassination. That's the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, SCLC. The digital document dump includes more than 240,000 pages of records that have been under a court-imposed seal since 1977. A court-imposed seal since 1977, when the FBI first gathered the records and turned them over to the National Archives and Records Administration. In a lengthy statement released Monday, Dr. King's two living children, Martin III, 67, and Reverend Bernice King, 62 years old, said their father's killing has been a captivating public curiosity for decades. But the pair emphasized the personal nature of the matter and urged that the files, quote, be viewed within full historical context. Be viewed within full historical context. The Kings got advanced access to the records and had their own team reviewing them, had their own teams reviewing them. The efforts continued even as the government granted public access. Among the documents are leads the FBI received after King's assassination and details of the CIA's fixation on King's pivot to international anti-war and anti-poverty movements in the years before he was killed. It was not immediately clear whether the documents shed new light on King's life, the civil rights movement, or his murder. Okay, so you can check out the rest of this piece here from the Associated Press. Trump administration releases FBI records on MLK despite his family's opposition. Then there was another one that I saw here from the New York Times. Trump releases thousands of Martin Luther King Jr. files. We look at this one from New York Times. Trump releases thousands of Martin Luther King Jr. files. Historians say they saw little of note in the assassination records that President Trump disclosed despite opposition from most of Dr. King's family. That's from the New York Times. There was now the Independent had a good piece. So Reverend Bernice King, Dr. King's only living daughter, 62 years old. Reverend Bernice King posted on social media. We posted this on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network. So follow us there. Follow me on Instagram. Also, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep. So the Independent, independent.com, independent.co.uk, they had this article. MLK Jr.'s daughter tells Trump now do the Epstein Files after 230,000 pages released on the civil rights leader. She said, now do the Epstein Files. Bernice King's demand comes after Tulsi Gabbard announced the release of thousands of documents tied to Martin Luther King Jr.'s 1968 assassination. Okay, so you can read this also. Damn ads. Goddamn. Hold on. Come on. Close all this stuff out. Okay, she posted on X. You can follow her at Bernice King. I follow her on X. I don't use X a lot since Elon Musk bought it. But she posted, now do the Epstein Files. Okay, so check that out at Independent. Let's see. Now, as another piece I wanted to go to. Okay, so in an attempt to distract from the whole controversy with the Epstein files and Donald Trump's attorney general telling him back in May that his name appeared numerous times in the Epstein files. We don't know how it's referenced, but we know he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein for 15 years. Also, we saw this deposition from 2010, because I have a lot of articles here, and a lot of stuff to share, but only a limited amount of time. So I'm going to have to do a separate broadcast to deal with some of this stuff. But follow me on my Facebook fan page, the African History Network, because we've been dropping information dealing with this. So this deposition from 2010, video of this deposition resurfaced. The Midas Touch has this. I'm gonna pull this up on Facebook. Jeffrey Epstein was interviewed for a deposition March 17th, 2010. Okay, let's take a look at this. He was asked about Donald Trump. Make sure this is in focus. Here we go. Let's watch this.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
This is the difference between a Democrat and a Republican. Trump had nothing to do with the stimulus checks and actually opposed them. Mm-hmm. But when those checks passed and Nancy got the checks for him, he said, guess who's getting the credit for it? Not Nancy.
Okay, that was Joy Reid talking. All right, so there you saw Jeffrey Epstein, who wanted to invoke his 5th, 6th, and his 5th, 6th, and hold on, what was that? What did he say? He wanted to invoke his 5th Amendment right, his 6th Amendment right, and 14th Amendment rights. Okay, and didn't want to answer the question. Interesting. Very interesting. Asked about were underage girls in the presence of you and Donald Trump. He didn't want to answer that. Now, that's the deposition from 2010. Okay. So we have this piece here. Trump escalates attacks on Obama and Clinton as questions swirl about Epstein. And now Donald Trump is, so he's saying that President Obama committed treason regarding the 2016 election and the investigation, and misstating the Russian involvement in the 2016 election, all of that. He's just grasping for straws. Okay, let's look quickly here. There was a piece from New York CNN fact check, just for the sake of time. hold on, let me see, which one is this? Oh, okay, let's look at this. It's widely misleading. And then I think I'm going to go to a clip from MSNBC that breaks this down. All right, let's see. This is it's just widely misleading. Let's flip over to this. It's just widely misleading while the administration's latest allegations about the Russia investigation don't add up. This is from July 22nd, 2025. So they talk about Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, classified and released new intelligence documents on Friday that she claimed were evidence. She claimed were evidence of a treasonous conspiracy by top Obama officials to manufacture the notion that Russia interfered in the 2016 presidential election. But the allegations conflate and misrepresent what the intelligence community actually concluded. In other words, she's lying. But the allegations conflate and misrepresent what the intelligence community actually concluded, according to a review of a GOP-led Senate investigation from 2020 and interviews with congressional sources familiar with the probe. The newly unsealed documents do nothing to undercut the government's core findings in its 2017 assessment that Russia launched an influence and hacking campaign and sought to help Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton, the sources said. The new allegations from Tulsi Gabbard lean on assessments before the election and statements from Obama-era intelligence officials finding that the Russians did not alter the election results through cyber attacks aimed at infiltrating voting systems. So the Obama intelligence community and the Obama administration did not say that Russia changed election results or changed votes or hacked into voting systems, things like that. They never said that. Okay. But the January 2017 intelligence community assessment never concluded that Russian cyber attacks altered the outcome of the 2016 election or compromised any election infrastructure in the first place. Those state voting systems were probed. Instead, the assessment focused on Russia's influence campaign ordered by President Vladimir Putin and cyber operations against U.S. and Democratic Party officials, including the hacked emails released by WikiLeaks. Quote, these are two different things. Cyber attacks on infrastructure and hacking the DNC, which they are conflating in an attempt to make a political point, end quote, said a former senior congressional source familiar with the Senate review. It's just widely misleading on its face. In 2020, a bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee review agreed with the intelligence community's conclusions on Russia's election interference and Putin's role directing the effort. Okay. Now, Senator Marco Rubio, when he was on that Senate Intelligence Committee, he signed off on this. He agreed with it. he agreed with the findings. Marco Rubio is now Secretary of State. Now, this is all believed to be Tulsi Gabbard's attempt to get back in good graces of Donald Trump. All right. Now, something interesting came up, and I posted about this on my Facebook fan page, the African History Network. Remember when the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that president has immunity, pretty much immunity from criminal prosecution when they're president and doing their duties, things like that? That applies to Barack Obama too, when he was president. So the question came up, well, how are you going to prosecute Barack Obama when he has immunity just like Trump has immunity? And a NBC reporter actually brought this up. I want to try to grab that clip. I think we have the link for it here. Hold on. In preparation for tonight's show, I think that's one of the clips that we grabbed. All right, hold on. Let me go here, and I think it's here. It was from Live Fox. Hold on, where is that? Because this was good. They asked Pam Bondi this question, White House press secretary, who's one of the dumbest press secretaries there is. Let me pull this up here. Hold on. All right, go ahead and post your comments here also. Be sure to subscribe to me on YouTube, Michael Imhotep on YouTube, and on Instagram, and my Facebook fan page, the African History Network. Okay, let's go here. All right, so this is from Fox Now, I think it is. This is a short they put together. Let me try to pull this up. Page unresponsive. Hold on, what are we doing? Let me try to do this another way. All right, here, let me go to this other clip here because I have this other clip queued up. Let's go to this other one. This is from MSNBC. Trump still jealous of Obama's popularity as he lashes out amid Epstein fallout. This is from July 23rd, 2025. It looks like MSNBC. Let's go to this clip here. Let's get past this ad. Okay, stand by. Here we go. Okay, let's check this out.
I want to bring in Peter Baker, chief White House correspondent for the New York Times and MSNBC political analyst. Chuck Rosenberg is former U.S. attorney, former senior FBI official, and an MSNBC legal analyst. With me here in studio, former Washington Post national columnist Philip Bump, and Michael Hardaway is former communications director and spokesman for House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Okay, let's start with the law, Chuck. Gabbard says the information she's put out amounts to, and these are her words, new evidence of the most egregious weaponization and politicization of intelligence in American history. Is that what you see?
Well, good for her, Chris. I mean, waving a document in front of a television camera doesn't make it authentic or valid or truthful or accurate. And this may sound incredibly quaint, but if you actually want to charge someone with a crime, try them and convict them, you need this pesky little thing called evidence. And evidence under the federal rules would have to be reliable, relevant, and admissible. So my way of thinking, a House committee report, whether authored by Democrats or Republicans, don't meet any of those standards, and I would discount it entirely.
So, Philip, this is something the president has been promising for years, that pesky thing called evidence. And I want to play some of what we've heard over the years. Take a listen.
The concept of Russia with respect to us is a total phony story.
Meaning the Trump campaign.
Of course it's a total phony story. We have to find out what happened. I'd love to find out what happened. But you don't think it's the Russians? I can tell you one thing. It had nothing to do with us.
Looks like a very serious event, but we'll find out. When they look at the documents, I think people are going to see a lot of bad things happen.
There's tremendous evidence right now as to how unfairly treated I was. President Obama and Biden spied on my campaign. It's never happened in history. They are trying to steal the election, just like they did it last time with spying, and we caught them, and that included President Obama.
Again, none of the investigations ever showed anything that would support anything he just said there. So why, after all these years, after all these investigations, are we back at the same point with the president promising something that he has
All right, everybody. Okay. Hey, this froze up on me, but we're going to call it a night. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Go back and rewatch this broadcast and hold on. Go back and rewatch this broadcast. I'm going to do a separate broadcast where we continue this discussion here. Be sure to register for my new online history class, African Empires. Hold on, let's see. At my website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Be sure to register for my new online history class, African Empires, the Moors, and the Transatlantic Slave Trade, 5000 BC to 1800 AD. Class starts Saturday, August 2nd, 2025, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a 10-week online history class. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived and recorded. You can go back and watch it anytime. You can use this with your children also. Content is PG-13. We have over 200 slides in the class. There's 80 to 100 articles that we reference. There's 15 books that we reference. So it's a very visual class. We show video clips, excerpts of interviews that I've done. Also, you don't have to buy any of the books to follow along in class. I'll show you screenshots of the text from the books also. Okay, so register right now. This also helps support the African History Network. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And you're going to learn a lot about history in this class, a lot about African empires, African kingdoms, where we talk about ancient Kemet, whether we talk about Nubia or Kush, Axum, Merowe, Ghana, Songhai, Mali, Great Zimbabwe, Carthage, and the Carthaginians and Hannibal Barca. We deal with the Africans known as the Moors that take the teachings from the Iberian Peninsula, take the teachings from ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, and the Nile Valley region of Africa into the Iberian Peninsula, today known as Spain and Portugal, and they take that all throughout Europe. Okay, and those teachings are also going to make their way to the 13 colonies in what we call the United States as well. And we deal with the transatlantic slave trade, the origins, things like the doctrine of discovery, 1452, Pope Nicholas V, ordering the Portuguese to reduce to servitude all infidel people. And we deal with how all this history evolved, and also understanding the transatlantic slave trade. All right, look, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Because right now, it's correct your own behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. Also, our PayPal and Cash App information is here as well. Here's my Cash App information, $ the AHN show through Cash App, $ the AHN show through Cash App, and through PayPal, paypal.ahn show. Some people set up fake African History Network Cash App accounts, so I had to put this graphic together. Ours is $ the AHN show. It'll probably say, and it'll say Michael when you go to it. Click right here on the link, and it has our QR code here for Cash App also. I'm still trying to get the fake African History Network Cash App account shut down, and here's our link for PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. Okay. All right. Remember, right now, it's correct your own behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. It's not over till we win. We'll talk to you next time. Peace. Thanks.